You know, sometimes a drawing feels like a little escape, a quiet moment away from noise, and this charcoal piece of a young fairy, was exactly that. I wanted her to look serene, calm, graceful, and just slightly magical. But instead of doing it with color, I decided to capture her light using only charcoal. And that's the challenge. How do you make something feel alive with just shades of black, gray, and white? That's what this portrait is all about. Before sketching, I always start with a solid guide. On my left, as you can see right here, is my drawing paper, and on the right is my printed reference, cropped just to the face. For realism, that's all you really need. The face is where life begins. So instead of the usual grid boxes, I use a ruler transfer method that you saw a while ago, simple but accurate. I place my ruler across both the reference and the paper, and wherever it crosses a key feature, the eyebrows, the nose, the lips, and the chin, I make a small tick marks. Then I rotate the ruler and do the same from left to right, marking the corners of the eyes, nostrils, and the edges of the face. So just enough to keep proportions in check, but still freehand enough to feel organic. So once that's ready, so now as you can see, I start with my light block in using my lightest charcoal pencil right here. By the way, I'm using my new discovered charcoal pencil brand. This is the Kuelox charcoal pencils. It has four grades. What I'm using here right now is the lightest. This is the light, and then later on you will see second to the lightest, which is the neutral, and then we are going to go darker and darker. We're going to use the soft dark and the super dark later on this drawing. But now let us sketch. Let's finalize the sketch, and anything outside the face is drawn purely freehand because we already have a guide. The face itself, the nose, the eyes, will be our guide, or it has been my guide right here for the hair, the neck, the shoulders, and every other details outside the face will be drawn easily freehand because we already have a guide right here. And then I'm just using the same technique that I'm always using: geometric sketching and shading. So for the sketching part, I'm using the light, and now this is a little darker. This is the neutral, but still light enough to shade lightly our geometric forms on the face and the rest of the figure. This is again the Kuilox charcoal pencils that I'm using right now. So I know that there isn't a lot of artists who use charcoal pencils directly for the drawing. Most of artists use graphite or charcoal powder, but this one is a very nice technique using charcoal pencils directly. Now I'm using powdered charcoal, the soft smoky base for the entire portrait. I apply it with a foam applicator and makeup brushes, gently sweeping it across the background and the larger areas of the face. This stage is all about balance, creating a mid-tone base that lets the highlights and shadows breathe later on. You can already feel the softness of the charcoal setting in. It's like painting with air. The trick here is to move in circular motions, never pressing too hard. You want that velvety, even tone before the real shaping begins. Okay, so then I go with my darkest charcoal pencil, the Kuilox Extra Dark, is sketching out her facial planes, the eyes, adding soft transitions around her eyes and cheeks. Each pencil has its own tone and personality. This dark pencil one is for really dark shadows near the hairline, under the chin. Already she's starting to look alive. here comes the fun part, bringing light into darkness. I start lifting highlights using right here the mono zero eraser for sharp line highlights, and then later on I will use a kneaded eraser, gently dabbing the areas where the light hits: the forehead, the nose bridge, cheekbones, and upper lip. This gives me a rough sense of direction for the lighting. Okay, so here I start sculpting her face, carefully layering charcoal with a mix of middle soft and dark pencils. This green charcoal pencil, this is the middle soft, and I use the rubbing tools for precision shading. Perfect for the curves of the eyelids, lips, and the folds of her outfit. This is actually the slowest, quietest part of the process, where I try to feel the form rather than draw it. The fairy's soft gaze, the delicate tilt of her head, I build those slowly through layering and blending. Charcoal always allows that painterly control. It's messy but beautifully forgiving. For the hair, I continue to use this green charcoal pencil. This is the soft pencil. And then while layering the pencil in between, I use the makeup brush to create soft strands, then refine it with the mono zero eraser or the kneaded eraser for highlights. This combination creates that silky texture and natural sheen. I pull out stray strands near her bun and shoulders, tiny imperfections that make her look more human, even if she's a fairy. And now I also start shaping the leaf pattern dress using my dark soft charcoal pencil still, blending edges with foam applicator. This gives that rich contrast against the soft light on her face. Okay, now as you can see, I'm continuously doing the same process, layering, blending, erasing, just to make sure that everything is nice, light on certain areas for the highlights, and then soft on certain areas and transition to make the drawing really magical. Okay, now the dress and the wings. This is where the fantasy comes in. I use my eraser, mono zero eraser, and I even use white charcoal pencil to draw delicate translucent veins and details on the dress, letting the black background enhance their glow. Every stroke is light and airy, just enough to suggest texture, not define it too much. The goal is to make them shimmer softly without overpowering her face. A little more blending around the edges to merge the figure into the background. This keeps the entire piece cohesive and calm. This is the white charcoal pencil for the fine glow on her skin, details of the hair, the tips of her wings. At this stage, I also clean the edges, removing smudges and balancing the tones one last time. Every highlight here is a whisper, subtle, but it completes the mood. Charcoal drawing teaches you something different: patience and restraint. It's not about adding more, it's about knowing when to stop. And that's what makes this portrait special. It's simple, but it breathes. It reminds me that even in black and white, beauty can still feel alive.